Hey everybody, welcome to the Sith Dominion, episode 7. Man, we have a special guest, and so I'm a little frazzled. I almost said something I shouldn't. And actually, last week, if you catch it on the outro, I actually start to say it too. We'll talk about it later. Hi, I'm Dr. Dana Martin, your host of the Sith Dominion, and I have with me today, as like half the shows already, Miss Kat from our AV Guru, social director of everything. Thank you, Kat, for being here.
Oh, not a problem. My pleasure.
We'll talk about that in a little bit, too. I'm so happy she's here. Rodney Bettis, a.k.a. Future Prez, a.k.a. Cowardly Lion, a.k.a. all kinds of things. Teacher, good friend. Welcome to the show, Rodney Bettis.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this. I love to show off my just surface knowledge of Star Wars.
This is gonna be great. So for those of you that are new watching, or if those of you that have been watching, we try to import some real world business and leadership stuff into our Sith lore and Sith fun. The hope is that we get more business leaders that have a touch of Star Wars, so that we can talk about things like, in his case, he is soon to be he's president-elect of a local nonprofit. That comes with its own sets of challenges, and coincidentally, maybe not, we'll be talking about Darth Nihilus and how that actually fits pretty well. So thank you, Rodney, for joining.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to start off with a little bit of news. So some stuff that occurred, BioWare, we're talking about Darth Nihilus, so we're going to talk Old Republic. And for some folks that still play Sweater or Sweator or however you want to say it, I played it when it came out, and then I played for years. Gave it up. My son started playing, and then he got into it. He's very upset he's not here for the Darth Nihilus. Is one of his favorites. Point is, yeah, there's whatever. I don't care. Move on. What were we talking about? BioWare. Yeah. So now that all of that's changing hands, what do you, Kat, think, and what do you see for the future of that piece of the franchise?
I'm going to say that I'm cautiously optimistic. Sometimes when these mergers happen, there is some level of autonomy given to the prior, basically any works that are already existing. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping they're going to allow that to happen. However, there's always that chance that it could just go completely sideways. Now, SWTOR has been around for a long time. I played when it first came out. Eventually, I was just kind of like, yeah, this in-game thing isn't for me. Like, I like playing the story mode, but like, I don't like the way in-game is.
Yeah.
So I stopped playing, but the game itself was good. Mm-hmm. Overall, for an MMO Star Wars RPG, it was good. Mm-hmm. I just hope that they kind of keep that in mind and keep some of what was true to it when they with the buyout.
Yeah. And the other part to that is the rumors that were surrounding a KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic 3, and or some form or fashion of a reboot. I would think if they're going through this, there's a reason financially, and that if that is still going to be something, you can check it out on, if you Google it, you'll see a couple of articles, some folks talking about it, but more than likely, they're not going to be extending into that when they already have the MMO base of SWTOR.
Right. And with the MMO, you've got a guaranteed money system coming in there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with that, if they're going to do a reboot, they could kind of do the way that Blizzard did with World of Warcraft. And kind of have that, hey, we're bringing back vanilla SWTOR, so you can free to play to get you, feed that vein, right? Mm-hmm. Like here, we, all those people that left the game for whatever reason before.
So here, you can
free for a bit.
They have it as free to play. You can free to play, and you can free to play to win. I mean, everything that you get now is more for arena play, PvP, The PvE stuff is all, the marketplace is all pretty level now. When I jumped back in, I was actually kind of impressed with how level, for me, it seemed everything was.
I may have to go back and check it out then, because like for a while it got super PvP heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't find that middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like they'd update and it would be PvP heavy, then they would update and it would be too far PvE. So yeah, maybe I'll have to hop back in and check it out.
So in talking about this deals with Darth Nihilus because of its continuation after the Knights of the Old Republic series. Darth Nihilus, that was his first appearance. It was just insane, this character, and how much depth in a very short amount of time they were able to write into his story. And I will say that I feel that we have been cheated by not having these three of the Sith triumvirate, Nihilus, Sion, and Traya, further developed into a novel series or something. And that's changed my mind. I'm going to die on that hill.
Well, they were in some of the books. If you get into some of the Legends books, they were in there. But it kind of gets
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was kind of like Bane. Like you got like one or two books and then that was it. Yeah. But I think that gets back to the time period in which they were first mentioned, and the Mouse Overlord that now has them. Mm-hmm. Darth Mickey
yes.
is not fond of the dark side. So it's that catch-22. Do we want them to do more and develop these characters, and do we want to see more of them on screen, whether it's big screen, small screen, whatever, and have them screw it up? Or would we rather have the fan fiction we have in our head?
Which is why I'm waiting for Acolyte to see what they do.
Yeah, that's going to be the test of how well they understand the dark side.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead from that and segue right into the deep dive, because this is where we get to have some real fun with Sith lore and our Sith Lords and how we can use them to... Oh, and here's the other thing. So our channel is a newer channel. We're not new. We have an older channel, but we have a new channel, Geek News Now Official, on YouTube. So please subscribe, and that way you get the little notices, but you got to click the little bell. That way you know when we're going live. You can also follow us on TikTok and Twitter or X or whatever you call it. All those other socials you can find us, and you'll see our podcast on YouTube, but you'll also hear it Apple, iTunes, etc. So, like and subscribe. I know, I had to say that. Or else Kat would have been mad at me.
Or I would have said that either way,
You would have said it, right, yeah. I'll say it. So, Darth Nihilus. So, if just a quick high-level overview on how he became what he was. Back in the days of Revan, Malachor 5, we don't have a lot of time to go way into it. The planet died-ish, and then whatever force, it's hard to explain, that was the evil force within the dark side inhabited him in some way through... He was a dead Jedi at the end of the day. Dead Jedi, kind of possessed, kind of not, overcome by the dark side of the Force on Malachor 5.
So he's like a Force zombie?
Yeah, great point. Great point. And we get to that too, because he, the only way that he could not feel pain was to drain the life force from Force-sensitive things, people, plants, animals, whatever. So, that being said, yes, but it was like heroin. He would get some, and it'd last, and he'd need more, and he'd need more than before to make it last, and it would continue. So I want to start by just looking at that part. And I'm going to look at you, Rod. I don't want to speak for you, but in my experience, when I was a volunteer in that organization as VP of whatever I was, I don't know. So
Development.
Development. Yeah, that's right. Jeez, it's been a while. VP of development. There's a life force. There's a buzz, right? You're serving. You're using your talents and your skills to grow a business, essentially, but pro bono, like because you love it. As you do that, you start to kind of get sapped, and you have to dig a little deeper, get a little more ingrained again to get that feeling. And it seems to compound until before you know it, you're living up there. Do you have anything? I mean, talk about that, Rod.
Yes, it definitely is. So the nonprofit that Dana's talking about is a local community theater. We're the theater company, Bryan College Station, and it takes a lot of people to put on the types of productions that we put on. I think a lot of people think that when they think community theater, they just kind of think, well, you just get some chairs out and people do some shows and maybe put on some funny costumes and that's it. But these are big time productions that a lot of these community theaters do, and ours is definitely I definitely think we do some pretty extensive productions. And so it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of people to, build sets and costumes and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it does. It takes a toll on people because it's basically done for free. And so, and a lot of the people don't get the accolades that the actors and the musicians and stuff like that get sometimes. But we absolutely couldn't do it without them. And that's even the stuff that you can still use your creativity on. There's a lot of stuff that we have volunteers do that's maintain the air conditioning and, set out rat traps and, whatever else is, we're struggling with at the time. So yeah, you do have to, there is kind of a life force about the theater. You do have to nurture it a lot. It can be drained by, bad attitudes or the biggest one, if I were to talk about the evil for the dark side of the theater, it's non-appreciation. If there's somebody who feeds on the enthusiasm of our volunteers, it's just people who are not appreciative of the things that people do. And so I think that's something that we have to, as a board, we really have to work on constantly doing. We have to constantly reach out and say thank you. And a lot of the people who work behind the scenes don't really want the spotlight, but they do like the fact that their work is being used and that it's appreciated. So,
well, and Kat, you've mentioned a little bit about what you do. How does that, this kind of sapping? You have to keep digging and getting more to keep yourself going.
Well, so actually, it really plays a big part in social media in general. Because think about it. I don't know very many people that don't use social media in some capacity, even if it's just one platform. You post something that you think is really cool, or maybe you went and did something that was really neat, and you take a picture and you post it up. And, maybe you kind of forget about it for the day, but then all of a sudden, because you're busy, you look back at your phone and it's got 100 likes. That right there, that feeds you. So with Geek News Now and social media, we're an organization with almost 30,000 followers. So yeah, there are some days when you're just on a roll, everything you are cranking out, everyone is just sitting at their computers waiting for it. And you've got 1,000 likes and you're like, yeah, go team. And then the next day, I don't know, everybody found a life. And you're 3 people the 12 posts we put up.
Yep.
Or even doing shows like this, you're looking at the numbers and you're like, oh, sweet. I don't know, there must have been a rainstorm that covered the whole state or the whole country because everybody tuned in. We had 90 people watching live. And then the next show is 4 people tuned in.
Yeah.
So, and rather than be hey, cool, that's 4 people that follow us that tune in for every show and they're are really loyal and are faithful. it's like, oh, like you kind of forget, like that's really cool too, to be able to see like, hey, we have this many people that tune into every single episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you kind of lose sight of that when you see those bigger numbers. So it's literally the attention is a drug, if you look at it that way from a social media standpoint.
Sure.
Of the more attention you get, the more attention you want. And it's because you want to watch what you're building. Same with the theater. You want to watch what you're building get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get it in front of audiences that don't know it exists.
Yep.
And I unfortunately, I've never been to College Station in all my time in Texas. I'll have to change that at some point. But like, I grew up in a small town. And when I say small town, I mean like, I think it had like 10,000 people, including the cattle that had social security numbers because they were rodeo cows. So like for me, like it's like my personal mission of like, I want to find every person out there who doesn't have people around them to talk about geeky stuff, to talk about all their geeky stuff. So it's like my mission to like reach more and more people, The
more geeky, the better.
Yeah,
So what I think what kind of can start to happen as we do that, and this is what happened to Nihilus. Over time, his body started to kind of deteriorate and fall apart. The dark side, the taint of the dark side will do that. That's the way that Malak refers to it. If you know another Sith Lord there, Darth Malak, he's good. I love him. Anyways,
was another one?
Yes. We will be talking about Malak, Visas, Mar, all that. It's going to be fun. Anyways, what ends up happening is he lost sight of being human. Yes, he was human Jedi, started out that way. No longer was he, and held himself together somewhat by the Force until he was about to die. He put his Force spirit into the mask so that it would carry on. And what I think's interesting about that is we collectively, I like to kind of keep around this volunteer stuff we've been talking about, because I think it's important to realize that yes, GNN, we do this for fun, and Rod, you do the theater stuff for fun. I did the theater stuff for fun, and what ends up happening is you lose yourself and who you are. You become something else. And in fact, potentially you become an icon, like what happened to Nihilus. So that Rod may not really exist anymore in the form that we once knew Rod. Oh, he might still be there, but I mean, how many sets has he built, and how many, or gosh, how many posts, Kat, have you done? Are you still exactly Kat you were 2 years ago before you started doing all this? I think that's that fine line that he didn't walk, that we have to. I'd love y'all's thoughts.
I think that's an interesting. I think that's an interesting concept. I don't know if it's universal necessarily. I think sometimes, and I found this with myself, that I come more alive with the stuff that I do at the theater. I am more passionate about the things that I do at the theater than the things I do. Like I'm a teacher, and it's a very noble profession, but it's also very it's not respected, and it's very low paid, and it's just kind of, the list goes on. But and so at one time that was my identity. I was definitely a teacher. I was all about teaching, and now it's like, yeah, I'm a teacher. That's kind of that's sort of what pays the bills. And I love my kids and I love my subject, but it's also like, yeah, it is what it is. But whenever I found the theater about 5 years ago, I got really involved, and I'm one of those people who basically has a cot up there at the theater. My daughter's there right now doing callbacks, so I'll be going as soon as we're done with this I'll go up there, and visit and all the things. So I do think it is kind of a fine line. You can lose yourself in it, but you can also, that's where you can blossom and become what you want to be. And I'm sure that with this as well is it's different. If you're doing social media for we'll just say Kmart, since they're not around anymore. If you're doing social media for Kmart, it's like, I do social media for Kmart, okay? But if you're doing social media for something that you really love and for a community that you really love, it's a different thing. And so I don't want to kick back too much on your comparison there, but I do think it's a little bit different. I know that it happens because I've seen it happen at the theater where people, they're just like they get too caught up in either what they perceive as negativity or just the time suck that it definitely is, that they feel like they're losing themselves. But I think at some point they realize that they miss it. And so, and hopefully they haven't burned enough bridges that they can't come back. So, I think I went down a rabbit hole. Did I?
No, it's great. And yeah, I mean, I can think of some examples of how I was trying to articulate that, but I can also think exactly what you're saying and see that as well. Kat?
Well, so with that, I mean, kind of to Rodney's point, I've seen it happen. I've experienced that burnout, and sometimes what happens is, when there's not a lot of communication, sometimes you see that happen more frequently. And when I say no communication, it's not necessarily that leadership isn't communicating, but it's the way that they're communicating isn't resonating with the people they're communicating to. Mm-hmm. So it gets back to the concept of I'm responsible for the words I say, you're responsible for the words you hear. Mm-hmm. So, but just like with any business, any volunteer work, anything, there's always at least a thin curtain of things that people don't always see. Even in social media, I get to see it all. Like there are days when I'm literally counting like how many people are subscribing to YouTube. Not that I'm trying to remind people to click that button down there or anything, but but I get to watch these platforms grow. And I get to watch how the like and engagement happens. So that, in a lot of ways, is what keeps me plugging along at it. Even when I have a day where I'm like, okay, so y'all were out at the mall and not looking at my post. What's wrong with you, public? But it does also happen because a lot of people think that it happens in volunteerism because there's not a financial backer. Mm. I disagree. Mm-hmm. I will identify myself as a corpo for all my cyberpunk fans out there. I have lived my life in corporate America for a good chunk of time. And I can tell you right now, I mean, and most people at GNN have heard me mention it at some point in time that, yeah, I've had times where I've worked 60, 80 hours a week for months on end. And like you said, you build that recognition. Same thing, building a brand within the corporation. Mm-hmm. But there's a point when literally and I think it, in some cases, almost happens quicker even when there's a paycheck attached. Because you're just like, deuces, homie. Like that one day, like you put all this in, you've built your brand, you've done all this. And all of a sudden something just happens. Mm-hmm. And you're like, maybe not so much. Maybe I'm gonna go live that nomad life. So like I said, all my cyberpunk fans there will get those references. But I think a lot of it is it's the communicate. It's not always seeing things going at the rate that you expect them to. Mm-hmm. Let's face it. Would I love to log in tomorrow and see that all of a sudden our subscriber count on YouTube has tripled? Absolutely. In my wildest dreams, I would wake up tomorrow morning and I would see triple the numbers we got right now, and I'd be like, yes, I have a success.
Look, the TSD podcast on TikTok has over 300 followers now, and I'm giddy. Yeah. I'm giddy. But then tomorrow, if it's only 302, I'm gonna be like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So sometimes that burnout though happens because your growth isn't what you set your goal.
Yeah. And
sometimes you got high hopes, right? And sometimes reality is like, oh, girl, we gonna bring you back down.
Yes, Brandon Urie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's sometimes why it happens too, is rather than saying, okay, I understand I had an expectation for myself. I didn't meet that expectation. rather than saying, hey, why didn't I meet it? Or what do I need to adjust to hit that goal? It becomes a roadblock for people. And it's like, I'm never going to get good at this. I don't know why I'm trying. Like, it's the negative self-talk. So to Rodney's point, sometimes it's other people's negative talk. Sometimes it's our own negative self-talk.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Folks, this was huge, and I appreciate this is what happened last week. We really got into talking and comparing those between Dathomir witches and in this case Darth Nihilus. He's a very deep character, and I'm almost thinking I can do some live TikTok stuff and really go deeper on just here and there on some of this stuff in between the shows. But I have to have 1,000 followers on TikTok.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah.
Folks, he's easy, but he's not cheap. So get those follows.
That's right. That's right. So no, thank you guys, man. That's huge, and I think being able to pull you on every now and then too, Rod, if you're willing to talk from that perspective, or even from an educator's perspective, on some things. So
sure,
thanks, man. Well, we're moving into our interview with you, sir.
Okay.
So I did not write down a bio for you and did not ask you for one because I think I can do this.
Okay, good. Good luck. May the force be with you.
But I don't have my whiskey. So, Rodney Bettis, current president-elect. Were you VP of something before president-elect?
There for a little bit, I was it was flirted that I would take over like VP operations. But that would have taken another board member out of that role that they didn't necessarily need to leave yet. In order to like split it off from something else, push come to shove, I kind of stayed. But we had a board meeting yesterday, and I was named into your former seat, the VP of Development. So that's what I'm.
Wow! Congratulations.
So I'll be the VP of Development for the next year before I take on the president.
And that means you're on as VP of Development just in time.
Just in time for preview party, right?
Preview party.
Preview party for those of you who are uninitiated. That's our big like fundraiser for the year. That's where we announce our season and where we get show and season underwriters. So we're courting the people with money. And it's also, we're trying to sell season tickets. So there's a big onus on our executive director to put together a fabulous season, which she announced yesterday, and it's going to be amazing. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. My lips are sealed. But it is going to be. Oh, no,
y'all already did that. Sorry.
It's, we did. Yeah, we already did that.
Y'all did. Head over heels already.
Head over heels. Right. So it's going to be really good. And we're really excited about it, and especially if she gets all the shows that she wanted. But then it's on the board members and the people who orchestrate this preview party to really bring in people who, love the arts, and people who love theater, and people who just love us, and they're also willing to part with some of their hard-earned cash. And so it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't take tons of money, but it's still like a big ask for a lot of people. But also selling season tickets. Like what happens is we need to get this much money at the end of the year so that then we can do all this stuff for the rest of the year. Without that, we just don't have just people walking off the street buying tickets to shows, and our price point is low because we want it to be accessible to everybody in this college town to be able to go and see a live show. So we're not charging, like we have professional theater stuff that comes through town and they go to Opus, and it's great, but you can spend your paycheck at Opus to go and watch a show. And definitely if you go down the road to Houston or to Austin, my wife and I love to go to San Antonio to watch a lot of the traveling shows that come through. You can spend. We do it like once a year. We don't do it like every weekend. But you could, for the price of one of those shows, see our entire season. I saw Fiddler when it came through the Opus, and what we paid for 3 tickets,
I bought season tickets for
easily
6 shows.
Easily.
Yeah.
So anyway, but being able to sell those tickets ahead of time and know already that you sort of have a built-in audience, and then that will allow you to determine, like how much money are you going to spend on sets and costumes, and are we going to pay? That's one of the things that we're thinking about now and trying to budget for is paying some of those people who are at the theater all the time whenever they're doing a production. And we're not to the point where we can really think about actors, but we are thinking about stage managers. I mean, if you think about how much time those individuals put into a show, it's ridiculous. They're there all the stinking time. And so yeah, it's a big deal. And yes, it happened, right at the big time. So,
good for you.
Yeah, we're excited. We're also anxious and nervous. I'm drinking.
For the record, for all the fans out there that are watching, there's not going to be fall TV. Let's just accept that, right? So guess what? You want entertainment? Go to the theater. It's live. It's interactive. You get to meet the people that are putting on these productions.
Yeah.
And hey, it's entertainment. It's a night out, and it's community theater. So like they said, it's affordable.
Yeah. Exactly.
Look, I'll tell you guys right now, like anyone listening or cares to listen, I met Rodney at his first show. Was also my first show, My Fair Lady. It was a great show, and it was one so good that it felt like this is where I belong. That's how good the show was. Me as a novice actor, I've got experience playing guitar, singing, whatever, but it's different. This is way different. And moving through the last few years with Rodney on the board together. Well, no, we didn't actually ever serve on the board.
Yeah,
together.
we were on the board for a little while.
Oh,
together.
You're right. Just that last bit. But so on the board together, acting together. I wanted to talk about one of your characters for a second, and it's funny you brought up Little Shop, because one of the things that in a question that was asked, I'll preface this. One of the questions that was asked on Gina and Greats today was, why are Sith so popular? What is appealing about the dark side? And there are plenty of responses, and some pretty dang good. And one in particular, Daniel Nelson stated the power. He said, everyone has been angry. Even in real life, anger focuses me, makes me more dangerous, pushes me to the next thing. Hate for those who have mocked me, and etc. I feel like we have a sense of connection to the Sith as opposed to the Jedi. Now, I feel like we could do a week's worth of shows just on that, Daniel. Thank you. But I want to make this segue into Scrivelli. What's his name? Scrivelli.
Orin Scrivello, yeah.
Scrivello.
So it's the dentist.
DDS, the dentist from, Little Shop of Horrors. I got to play Mushnik. It was fantastic, but I was nothing compared to this man, Rodney, playing the dentist. Amazing. But my question is, did you approach it as this is a total jerk, or did you try to figure him out and understand his motivation?
Yeah, so I've actually been I actually get to play the bad guy a lot on stage, and it's a little counter to my actual personality, and so I'm gonna kind of take a little bit of a turn on your question, because I think what makes villains so popular, whether it's the Sith Lords of the Star Wars universe, or whether it's like Scar from The Lion King, or whatever, or even we have this fascination with like crime movies and mafiosos and stuff like that. I think what it really is that in most people are good. Okay, that's my belief. Most people are good. They have some kind of center, some kind of morality that guides them, and they're good. And that morality, that thing in your head or your heart or whatever that tells you that you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't react to this. You should let that happen, or you should, whatever the case may be. It's always there, and it wins all the time, right? Being a bad guy, all of our famous bad guys, they either don't have that, or they actively ignore it. And so they are able to act out a lot of the things that we wish that we could do. Like when somebody, whenever I was the dentist, he sings this ridiculous song about like shooting puppies with a BB gun and taking kitty cats and bashing in their heads and loving pain or just inflicting pain. And, I think the good in us all realize that's bad behavior. And, but sometimes we feel like that person deserves it, or why do I have to check myself? And so I don't know if it's in psychology or something. It's probably called the id, like the base of our like identity that we always have to kind of keep in check. And so I think the reason why we love the bad guys so much and why the bad guys are always so much fun to play is that you get to do that, but you get to do it in pretend.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were talking about playing video games with the Star Wars video games. The cool thing about that is that you get to inhabit a character, and you get to do things with that character that you can't do in real life, whether it's amazing acrobatic skills or lightsaber battles, or if it's force choking somebody. So who hasn't been driving down the Texas Avenue and wanted to force choke somebody?
I think we all know about I-35, so we could have used that. Man, thanks, Rod. That's great, man. I'm glad that you're here. I think you brought a perspective that is a little different than what we've had on the show, and it was amazing. Thank you, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
I do have a nice, fun piece of art again. I said it's fan theory / art, and maybe we'll have a fan theory one day when I run out of pictures. But I'm a picture guy. So if I can find where I'm supposed to do this, David Furr was watching. I was hoping he'd say, "Hey, Dana, you got to click here, go down to there." All right. Livio Ramondelli. His Twitter handle is his name, at his name. Look at this. Amazing. So for those of you
that embodiment of like when he put his force spirit into that mask.
Yes, thank you. So for those of you playing it at home on iTunes or something where you can't see, look this pic up. Just Google LIVIO RAMONDELLI and look for Darth Nihilus. And this digital artwork, you have total red and black. Everything is red and black. Nothing is not red and black.
Well, white. There's white.
Oh my gosh, Rodney.
It's kind of a varying shade of red.
Yes.
Don't be on his side, Kat. Don't be on his side.
He's kind of like a Death Eater.
Rodney?
He looks kind of like a Death Eater hovering kind of a bit. But his mask is solid. So his cape, he has no body. His lightsaber appears out of underneath his cape from inside of his cape, but you see no hands. But the most crystal clear piece is the dead Mandalorians. Those are Mandalorians, yeah, around him. And then the mask. Those are the two most crispy pieces of this. And I don't think that's by accident.
Okay, so this is a moment where I might have to correct you. Are you sure they're Mandalorians and those aren't Acolyte masks?
Oh, shoot. Are they?
They look like Acolyte masks to me. There is a Mandalorian there, though.
Is there?
I see one.
Yeah. Looks like the one on the right is a Mandalorian.
Where the lightning is, but the other two look like
I got you. Yeah, okay.
Whatever it is, they've all had better days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because if you don't do it, someone out there in argument land will. So.
I mean, I could have taken the Sith route and just let the fans eat you alive.
Yeah. Oh, no, please. Whoa. So, funny story. I wrote an article about Rey. It was like my second article out of the gate for GNN. And I didn't even read the comment. I saw some people getting, but I mean, if you really read the article, I was just trying to be supportive of Daisy Ridley, who was coming back into the fray as Rey, and I don't know what's wrong and why I'm blurry. So, yeah, listen to the fans. But one of the things we are trying to do at GNN, and as you are seeing, is trying to get your involvement. Those of you that want to watch the shows, follow the shows, we want your involvement. I've put up a couple polls for the last 2 shows, trying to determine who we talk about. We're also quoting people from our threads in Facebook and other social media. So, man, we want this to be as engaging as you want it to be. We want to be able to have conversations through questions being asked even in the chat. And again, like and subscribe, because if you don't like and you don't subscribe and you don't hit the notification, then you're not going to know when we're on. That was a mouthful. I think that's it. What else do we have?
Well, I mean, from the GNN side, we do have a giveaway.
Oh, hold on a second. So, folks, we have a... No. Wait, do we? I thought that was already done, or that was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, no, this is a new one.
This is a new one. I didn't even know.
One. Just started today.
Okay.
In the spirit of Ahsoka, we have a giveaway. So if you hop on over to Geek News Now on Facebook, it's also on Instagram, Twitter. I haven't gotten into Threads yet. And I haven't gotten into TikTok yet. But yeah, there will be a link for you to go ahead and enter into a giveaway to win some fun Ahsoka themed merchandise from Geek News Now. Because we like our fans, and we like to give you guys stuff.
My wife just got that Ahsoka this weekend.
Nice.
Just got that Ahsoka this weekend. Oh, it's so cool. Hold
Yes.
on. We're giving away this. Can I show this?
Yeah.
Oh, man, come on. I don't know how to do this. I'm just kidding. I'm getting pretty quick at it here. Boom. Upload. Boom. Oh!
Yep.
Yep. It's an up and down picture. I don't know how to fix that, but you get the point.
Here.
Oh, you had to do this?
Actually, I have an image. Let me just shoot it over to you real quick. It actually has all of them in it.
Oh.
So that way they can see what they're winning.
I just don't want to be blurry. I feel like I broke my camera.
You said Rey. That's what did it. Like, the Force was like, what are you doing?
There, it's better.
Rey. I wrote an Ahsoka piece too, man. She's... Oh, I did an interview with Johnny.
Yay.
Johnny's writing an article about the Sith Dominion I'm real excited about. He did ask me for some clarification because apparently I wrote something that wasn't making any sense. I don't never do that. And it was because autocorrect corrected wrong. So it wasn't my fault.
Never is.
Like, you would think by now with all the languages that you can learn through Rosetta Stone, they'd teach typo.
Yeah, no.
That's a fair point.
See, I don't understand why it's doing that.
Oh, I don't know why it's doing that either.
But so the other one is Sabine, yeah?
Yes, Sabine and Ahsoka, and then there's a set of these really nice slate coasters.
Right here?
Yes, down at the bottom. Yep.
Man.
I have an Ahsoka pop vinyl. I don't have that one, of course, and I don't have Sabine, so maybe I'll have to enter this contest.
You should.
Heck yeah. And like and share. And share.
That's what we have to do, like and share?
Like and share. That's the mantra.
I haven't even read all the rules for it, but I mean, here's my thing is like, hey, you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars. My friends like Star Wars. Your friends like Star Wars.
Yep. So,
and everybody likes something free.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just straight up like free.
Yeah.
Go to the link and enter. All right. So, what else we got? We got not GNN. Cantina happy hour tomorrow night. Oh my goodness. And then Saturday we got Geek Gauntlet featuring Kat. Will be back. Yes.
Yeah, I should be back. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
And can we just say that the last show, Kat was a trooper. So she went kind of radio silent, kind of. I mean, she's never fully radio silent. And I'm like, hey, what? I haven't talked much to you. Do you want to come on the show? She's like, well, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, y'all saw my smiling face and I was up here, great demeanor, everything great. I was having some really bad back pain. I thought I'd injured myself. And this is going to be my PSA to listen to your body if you're not feeling well. After the show, was like, oh, this back pain is killing me. I'm just going to go take a shower, call it a night. A couple hours later, that back pain turned into, and with the back pain, I also have some abdominal pain, but then it spread to chest pain. And I took a trip to the hospital. And I unfortunately had to undergo emergency surgery to have my gallbladder removed. So never had an issue with that before in my life. Definitely and I mean, I haven't seen my CT results. I'm going to ask my surgeon if I can see if he has them, because it had to have been pretty bad for them to get the results back. And I was in surgery less than 30 minutes later.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being rolled down the hallway, messaging the head of GNN and the other heads, letting them know hey, I might be out of commission for a few hours. And they're like, well, wait a minute.
Hours?
What do you mean a few hours?
Man.
Well, I mean, in my defense, I was back posting memes and creating content 4 hours later after I came out of recovery.
My concern is that I'm not going to hear from Rodney for a week or so. He's like, yeah, and I had to get my spleen removed. I mean, what?
I hope not. I'm too busy for that.
This had a 2-day lead up, so this was really just me channeling everything to be I got this. I'm fine. It's just a little back pain. I'm just getting a little older. It's fine. These things happen. Yeah, but yeah, folks, listen to your body if it's telling you weird stuff.
Yes. And just like Darth Nihilus, zap what you need to survive. No, don't do that. We are going to wrap up. We've been on longer than I promised Rodney we'd be on for, but thank you, Rodney, for joining the show. Everyone listening, thank Kat. She's a fixture at GNN, and we couldn't do this without her. All of those title cards that I've got for the shows are all done by her, man. She's killing it. So I did my own logo, but she does everything else.
It's easy. I'm you gave me the logo. So now I just put all the pieces together.
But it was great to kind of look at a perspective I think is a little fresh. And Rodney, thanks again. Can't wait to have you on again. Next week, we're going to be talking about Darth Sion. Now, we're going to talk about someone holding themselves together with the Force. He literally was a Force zombie. That's how I feel by about Thursday morning at my job. So it's amazing, though, when your boss realizes it and they go, no, you're done. No, I'm not. I still got to make all these other widgets and this and that within the dashboard. And then he goes, you go do this. We're going to take what you've done. That's functional. Thank you. It's functional. And we're going to make it pretty with the reporting guy. You done all the legwork. He's going to make, yeah, but I need to, but it's you guys know how it is to let go of something. Yeah. So that's how it was today at work. But we're going to talk about Darth Sion, holding it together. And what did we else talk about? Did we talk about? Well, that was a brain break. Yeah, we did. Yeah, of course. Always never satisfied. Keep it up. Okay, we talked about all that. You guys watch the show. Remember, kids, peace is alive. There's only passion. Like, save, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll talk to you all later. Have a good one.